To get the local information you need to know.
Netflix buffering, YouTube spinning, devices not connecting, Zoom calls dropping. Ugh, it's frustrating. Let's end your frustration by signing up for fiber internet in Clinton. Click the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. The city of Clinton is hoping its partners across the street will support its efforts for a nice fireworks display for the 4th of July. At the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting, Clinton City Administrator Tony Harris approached the county board about a split of the cost of fireworks for this year's display.
I wanted to come and talk to you tonight about what the city of Clinton has planned for America 250 celebration. The city is hosting a committee, a volunteer committee, the first Monday of every month at 5 o'clock at City Hall. And this committee is coming up with weekend plans for the 4th of July weekend, starting Friday, running all the way through Sunday evening. That's when we're going to have the fireworks. So I wanted to update you on that. This committee has lots of plans scheduled for that entire weekend. We'll start, like I said, Friday night with the band. The next day, Saturday, the entire day, there will be different kinds of activities on the Mr. Lincoln Square. The band Friday night is going to be at the same location. And Sunday, there's going to be some more activities on the square, and it will be followed up by fireworks at the normal location at Kleeman Drive and Highway 51. That's what I wanted to talk about. Since it's America 250, let me back up a little bit. Last year was the first year in several years, I'm not sure how many years, the city burden that cost of the fireworks. Previously, Celebrate Clinton took care of that. They took in donations, I guess, for fireworks, but they let us know pretty late in the year that they were disbanding, so we no longer had that. So we had to pick up the cost of fireworks, which we did. So this year, what I'm asking with the fireworks, what I have planned is to incorporate America 250 in the firework display. And it's going to be a 20-minute display, a total cost of $17,200. So I'm here asking if the board would if they would partner with the city of Clinton to fund that.
The county would likely look to draw funds for any contribution from its economic development funds, which many may remember is funded thanks to the sale of the Clinton Lake Marina. DeWitt County Development Council Executive Director Kurt Homan warned the board that while this is a worthwhile effort, other communities and groups will come asking for dollars for their events.
So from an economic development perspective, events, festivals, all those things, they're add quality of life. They do bring in folks from outside the community. The concerns, if I were sitting in any of your chairs, as soon as a request comes in and is granted for event, festival, those types of things, you'll have 100 more that come in. So the question is how does that get handled? How does that get addressed? And if the situation is a one-time, listen, it's 250-year celebration. Even beyond that, I do know Farmer City's having a celebration. I don't know if DeWitt, Kenny, Wapella, I don't know if any of those others are having any events going on, but if they are, I anticipate you'll have multiple requests that comes in. So ultimately, the discussion with that is if you're looking at a one-time, maybe you'll do it again in 50 years for the 300 celebration. If you're looking at a one-time commitment to to bigger celebrations within the county. Potentially, the way to do that is to establish a pool of this is the amount we're willing to spend for that. We could set up a subcommittee, whether it's through DCDC partnership with county board or some other individuals, that then would ask for a time commitment of applications, and then it ultimately is dispersed based on a total dollar amount that the county board commits. If going down in the future, if that's an annual event, whether it's fireworks or other festivals or other events, that maybe we might want to address that slightly differently if it's something that's included in the budget. But certainly festivals, events, parades, all those things are certainly a valuable asset to the county and the communities and those types of things, and would bring in some outside visitors. The trick that I would caution you on, of course, is once you open that door, it's hard to close. So if just be very aware of how you do that. And again, I think this is a very worthwhile situation, and maybe a great way to handle it is to appropriate X amount of dollars and then allow those either through DCDC or some other sub organization to distribute those, so that you're not getting those requests unless you want them. So, but I promise you, multiple requests will come.
The board discussed sending the proposal to the Finance Committee for further consideration. Board members floated ideas from creating a general fund for any support of the 250th celebrations to a request for funding.
Well, I was thinking because, Waynesville, I know they have fireworks.
Yes.
And they're in
Yes,
county.
there you go.
Farmer City, I'm not certain, but
They
I'm
do.
assuming that they probably do also.
Yes.
So what's going to keep all of them from coming to us and saying, well, we want money for our fireworks also? The other thing I was thinking of is, Clinton is the county seat. I hate to say that because Farmer City doesn't always like saying that. So, it does kind of fit in the sense is that because of Clinton being the county seat as to having the event here for the 250th for DeWitt County, but that's just my thoughts.
I'm wondering if it makes more sense than to send this to finance to see how they want to handle it. Do we want to set aside an amount, maybe not just for Clinton, but engage with DCPC to kind of we set an amount for them and let them just figure out how to split that up amongst the communities. But
I think it's a good idea. What I'd like to see is let's just hold off on it, and maybe we can reach out to the other communities that we expect to do something, and ask them what their plans are, expected expenditures are, and then we can decide from there if we want to participate and how much we want to participate.
You mentioned that last year was the first year that the city picked up the tab. Was there an effort this year to go back to voluntary contributions from businesses, individuals?
Not this year because of it's America 250, because the committee, the volunteer committee that I spoke about, that's what they're doing to fund all of their activities. The city just committed to the fireworks alone. So we're only hosting that committee at City Hall, kind of overseeing it, but they're going and getting donations for all of their activities.
So have they reached out to the other communities to see if they want to make a joint effort to come in to the 250 that is being planned here?
I don't believe they have. No, and I've been at those meetings. I don't remember that ever coming. I'm trying to think. We've got someone on the board. I think we had someone from Kinney or close by Kinney, but that really never came up.
I'd urge you to look at what attributes of the celebration would make it ineligible. If it's just, if it's just bringing in a country music person and having a big party, that might not be something that the county would want to participate in. But in this case, it's a celebration of a national holiday, 250 years. I'm just thinking maybe there's some attributes that you'd want to assign to a celebration that would help to sort things out.
The county board decided they would send the issue to the county's finance committee to sort through. A Logan County school district would be an enormous winner if a potential data center is approved at some point this year. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Superintendent of Mount Pulaski Schools, Jason Spang, told the Hart Media Group the proposed site of the data center in Logan County would be in the Mount Pulaski district. While there are many strong and mixed feelings over the subject, the fact remains his district would be a huge winner.
Obviously, none of that is official yet. I know they're having conversations. They've had conversations. I've attended a couple committee meetings up in Lincoln for Logan County. HUD-8 is the company out of Miami, and they build data centers all over. My first concern was how it's going to impact our taxpayers within our district as far as, being close to it, the safety of the water table, the Bahama Aquifer, all of those things that have been thoroughly discussed. But, my number one concern is our students and families, and that will always be a number one. And so I don't want to speak for HUD-8, but they tried to address some of those concerns at some meetings as far as it being a closed loop cooling system, and it would not affect the aquifer. I don't know all the details. I'm just regurgitating what they are saying. But to answer your question, I mean, if it all ends up coming to fruition, then yeah, it would be a game changer for our district.
The tax revenue from this data center would be a huge win for the taxpayers of the district, whom Spang says they would prioritize first and foremost if it comes to fruition.
It would be significant increased tax revenue. And, like any responsible governmental agency, like our school district, the first thing we would do is pay off our debt, would be, pay off our bonds. That would be a tax abatement in itself. And then, so that would be some tax relief for the taxpayers. And then obviously further abatements is what we want to consider for our community, but we don't want to get over our skis and too far down the road. Obviously there would be opportunities for us to maybe expedite the progress of our facility improvements. We are slated to break ground in summer of 27 for new construction and renovation over at the elementary school. Could it possibly impact that? And we pivot on that? Yeah, all of it's possible. Again, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We're keeping a close eye on it, Seth, but it definitely would be a game changer for our school district and for Central Illinois.
According to Spang, this potential development would be a big benefit to the facility plans they have. He explains they could potentially expedite their plans for an addition at the elementary school in town.
I've had some of those preliminary conversations with our board members. I don't believe, I'm not speaking for the board. I don't believe we would scrap those because, part of the $20 million capital project for the elementary school, it's two phases. One phase is new construction, one phase is renovation. And so the new construction would be on parts of the elementary school property that currently don't have a structure there. So it would be like across where the playground is. And so we could still move forward with that phase of it without impacting, the current classrooms that we have. And so, would we pivot and, possibly consider not renovating parts of the building or proceeding at an expedited rate or expedited pace? Absolutely. I don't foresee us just canceling the plans to build the elementary expansion just because the tax revenue base that we're using for that is the new wind farm, the Chestnut Wind Farm, which is actually called the Top Hat Wind Farm. That is fully online, and we'll receive that tax revenue in June of 27.
Spang says the data center, if it gets approved, would nearly quadruple the district's budget, which would allow them to expand programming and curriculum and potentially even pay teachers more. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
It's time to celebrate winter. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have extra savings on all new Chevrolets this month to celebrate the winter season. See our inventory of Chevrolet Trailblazers, Blazers, and the efficient Trax. We also have a good selection of our 7-passenger Chevrolet Traverse and Tahoes. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. See our winter celebration savings at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time is 24 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. A Central Illinois lawmaker is reflecting on the priorities laid out for the fiscal year 27 budget for the state of Illinois. Governor J.B. Pritzker gave his budget address to lawmakers in Springfield on Wednesday afternoon, once again increasing spending in Illinois. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, State Senator Sally Turner told the Hart Media Group that you heard the usual and expected disdain for President Trump from the governor, but not much on how he planned to help Illinois in her district battle and the ever-increasing cost of living.
A big part of the speech, kind of in the middle, was a lot of bashing the federal government, but specifically bashing Trump, of course. And that always gives you the idea that, okay, you are going to run for president. Is that what you're doing? We wanted to hear more of a focus on what's happening in Illinois and how are you going to help Illinoisans. And what you and I were talking earlier, what I didn't hear was how are you going to help us afford everyday things that we talk about around the kitchen table, like my insurance, my groceries, my electric bill. Some people's electric bill went from $200 to $900. These are things that we do have legislation out there to help in those circumstances, but I don't know that we'll hear any of that come to be brought up in the legislature this year. Yeah, I will start with the caveat that he did talk about nuclear power, which is great, and trying to push that forward more in a more timely fashion, and that's exactly what we need. However, we also need to bump up our gas and gas plants, which are peaker plants. That will help our energy costs immensely. And those coal plants that are still firing, they're wondering, are we going to shut down or aren't we going to shut down? So if they're still telling them they're going to shut down in 2030, they're going to go ahead and start with the processes of shutting down. But we need some of that energy to help us continue and bring down our electric and gas bills. If we don't do that, they want us to pull in this power from other states that are burning dirty coal.
For Senator Turner, more could be done for Illinoisans regarding property tax relief, from revamping the taxation on wind and solar, which hasn't been reevaluated since 2006.
Property taxes, there's a lot that could be done about that. We don't want our state government to be taking over our schools. That's not the answer. Part of the answer is what we tax here. One of the things being wind and solar get taxed at a lesser amount. The first time they got evaluated, which was wind, was in 2006, and it hasn't been evaluated again since. So that's one of the bills that I have, is that let's take a harder look at that and increase the taxes on those, not on the people's property, but on those windmills or those solar farms. And then from that, we get a increased DAB, which brings our rate down, and we don't have to pay as much in taxes.
Senator Turner indicates the governor is targeting a user tax on Facebook, but the revenue from that is unclear.
Well, I will say that, like in any budget for any taxing district, budgets are always just a guess. And in his guess that he did, he bumped it up, padding the budget. I believe it was $200 million extra for, he wants to tax the social media, excuse me, the social media groups like Facebook and all those types of things for their users. So that would be a tax that would come back to Illinois. So if we see that, it's not you as a user that uses Facebook, but Facebook, if you had whatever, 1 million users, you'd get taxed at that amount for all your users in Illinois. But that's padding the budget. So we don't see that. It's not real money. It's a guess. So that's like every budget is going to guess, see what you can shoot for.
The Lincoln Republican says there were some good portions of the address and no jabs at Illinois Republicans. Now for your local obituaries. Holly L. Grimes, 69, of Clinton, passed away at 4:57 p.m., February 13th, 2026, at the Ark at Normal in Normal, Illinois. Arrangements are incomplete at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton. Corinne Lynn Talby, 65, of Bloomington, Illinois, passed away at 4 p.m., February 9th at Goldwater Care in Bloomington. No services are planned at this time. The family entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with cremation rights. Memorials may be directed to the Kenny Fire Department. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. It's DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump says he'll be deciding within the next 10 to 15 days whether to order a U.S. military strike on Iran over its nuclear program. As the president mulls his options in that vein, a military buildup in the Middle East continues, and the president dispatching another aircraft carrier to the region, and the Russians conducting military drills with their close ally, Iran. The economy was on the president's mind as he paid a visit to Georgia the other day. Mr. Trump says he has won the affordability issue. Mr. Trump, touring a steel plant, touts his tariff strategy. Cleanup, the order of the day across storm-battered parts of the Midwest, where fierce winds, hail, even some tornadoes did a good deal of damage last night. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 43 points. More details, srnnews.com.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. A wind advisory continues until 9 a.m. today. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times today with highs around 40. Westerly winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Lows level off around 22 tonight. High of 38 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently 31.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Clinton Lady Maroons finished. They fell to the Normal U-High Lady Pioneers by a final score of 59-44 in the El Paso Gridley Regional Championship on Thursday night in El Paso. The Lady Pioneers came out hot while Clinton fell flat. The score was 15-3 in favor of U-High after the first quarter, with Lila Kluver scoring the only bucket for the Lady Maroons through the first 8 minutes, which was a 3 from the right wing. At the half, Clinton trailed 31-11. Clinton made adjustments at the half and sped up the pace of the game in the third to make a comeback effort. They outscored the Lady Pioneers 19-10 in the quarter, highlighted by Clara Dempsey's 12 Q3 points. Clara Dempsey, Delaney Dempsey, and Avery Smith all fouled out of the game as the Maroons tried to force possession through fouling. Dempsey paced the Maroons with 16 points in total, all in the second half. Carly Anderson added 14, including a pair of buckets from distance to snap a personal drought through the game. Lila Kluver added 10 points. Haley Hoffman and Mackenzie Mateka both scored 16 points for the Lady Pioneers. Evelyn Seifert had 11 points. Clinton wraps up its historic season by tying the program win record at 28 wins and 5 losses. They won 24 consecutive games before Thursday night. Normal U High improves to 18-14 and will take on Hamilton in the sectional semifinal on Tuesday in Macomb. Tune in to the next Clinton Maroon sports broadcast as the boys make their 2026 postseason debut at home against Marshall. Tip-off is at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, and you can hear all the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. In girls basketball, regional championship scores from Thursday night. In Class 1A, D-Mac, who is seeded as number 1, beat number 4 Gibson City Melvin Sibley 57-44. Number 2, Shiloh took down 4th seeded Tuscola 49-46. Top seeded Mount Pulaski beat number 5 Stewartson Strasburg 50-27. While number 2 Hayworth beat 3-seeded Tremont 52-47. In Class 2A, number 2 St. Joseph Ogden took down number 6 Bismarck Henning Rossville Alvin 53-40, while top-seeded Tri-Valley took down number 4 Bloomington Central Catholic 49-45. First-ranked Hamilton beat number 4 Eureka 66-48. While the 4th-seeded Effingham fell to number 3 Paris 55-41. Number 1 Pleasant Plains dominated number 5 Waverly 56-11. In Class 3A, number 5 Bloomington High School upset number 1 Normal West 44-39, while number 3 Lincoln took down Mount Zion, seated at number 2, 50-39. Brandon Ingram scored 31 points, and the Toronto Raptors returned from the All-Star break to beat the Chicago Bulls 110-101 on Thursday night. With Chicago coach Billy Donovan away following his father's death Saturday, assistant coach Wes Unseld Jr. directed the Bulls. Chicago has lost 7 straight, also falling to the Raptors 2 weeks ago in Toronto. 5th in the East, Toronto won for the 8th time in 12 games to improve to 33-23. Ingram also had 8 rebounds and 6 assists. Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, and Jacoby Walter each had 14 points, and R.J. Barrett added 13. After Anferni Simons hit a three-pointer to cap a 7-0 run and pull Chicago to 103-101 with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left, Colin Murray Boyles had a three-point play with 1 minute and 18 seconds remaining, and Ingram hit a 17-footer with 36 seconds to go, making it 108-101. Simons led Chicago with 20 points in his 5th game since coming over from Boston in a trade. Isaac Okoro added 16. Bulls guard Josh Giddey and Trey Jones returned from hamstring injuries, with each playing about 21.5 minutes. Giddey had 5 points and 5 assists, and Jones finished with 12 points and 6 assists. Chicago opened a 7-game homestand. The Bulls are 11th in the East at 24-32 coming out of the All-Star break. The Raptors are at Milwaukee on Sunday, while the Bulls host Detroit on Saturday night. Cade Horton was a breakout performer for the Chicago Cubs last year in the aftermath of his successful rookie season. Horton went to work. His continued development is crucial for Chicago as it tries to build on last season when it was eliminated by Milwaukee in a 5-game NL Division Series. The Cubs acquired Edward Cabrera in a January trade with Miami and re-signed Shoto Imanaga with a $22,025,000 qualifying offer, but Horton just might be the ace of their deep rotation. After beginning last season with AAA Iowa, Horton made his big league debut in May. The 24-year-old right-hander quickly became one of Chicago's most reliable starters, going 11-4 with a 2.67 ERA. He had a scoreless streak of 28 1/3 innings from July 9th to August 13th. Health was a big key for Horton after the previous 2 seasons were cut short by injuries. He made 9 minor league starts in 2024 before he was sidelined by a right lat strain. Horton got sick last September, and his coughing led to back and rib issues. He pitched 3 innings in his last start against the New York Mets, then departed because of back tightness. He was diagnosed with a right rib fracture. Horton tried to pitch with the injury, but it was too much to overcome. He was almost ready to return when the Cubs were bounced by the Brewers. The Chicago Bears' potential move to Indiana took another step forward on Thursday when a key committee approved a plan to create an agency that would help get a stadium built. The Indiana House of Representatives Ways and Means Committee passed a bill establishing a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority to finance, construct, and lease a stadium by a 24-0 margin. The Bears are looking at a tract of land near Wolf Lake in Hammond, Indiana. The team said in a statement the passage of SB 27 would mark the most meaningful step forward in their stadium planning efforts to date, and they are committed to finishing the remaining site-specific necessary due diligence to support their vision to build a world-class stadium near the Wolf Lake area in Hammond, Indiana. Republican Governor Mike Braun and lawmakers in Indiana have been aggressive in trying to lure the founding NFL franchise across the state line amid a years-long effort to build an enclosed stadium in Illinois. The Bears did not mention Illinois in their statement. The Illinois House Revenue and Finance Committee was scheduled to hold a hearing Thursday morning on a bill that would allow the Bears and any other developer of a large enough project to negotiate long-term property tax rates with local taxing bodies, but that got canceled. The Bears' focus for a new home had fluctuated between a tract of land they own in Arlington Heights to the Chicago lakefront and then back to the suburb. They have said they plan to pay for the stadium construction on the site of the former horse race track about 30 miles northwest of their longtime home at Soldier Field, though they would need assistance to complete the project. In September 2022, the Bears unveiled a nearly $5 billion plan for the Arlington Heights site that also called for restaurants, retail, and more when they were finalizing the purchase of that site. Since moving to Chicago in 1921, the Bears have never owned their stadium, whether playing at Wrigley Field from 1921 to 1970 or Soldier Field since then. A last Olympic goal for Hillary Knight, a gold medal winning overtime one for Megan Keller, and the Americans cemented their reputation as one of the most dominant women's hockey teams to take the ice. After romping through their first 6 outings at the Milan Cortina Games, the U.S. overcame the final test by rallying to beat Canada and earn its 3rd gold medal in a 2-1 win Thursday night. Knight, appearing in her 5th and final Olympics, forced overtime by tipping in Layla Edwards' shot with 2 minutes and 4 seconds left in regulation, and with goalie Erin Frankel pulled for an extra attacker. The goal was her 15th and 33rd point of her Olympic career, setting U.S. records for both categories. The sides were playing 3-on-3 to finish the game. Keller secured the win on a backhander 4 minutes and 7 seconds into overtime, breaking up the left wing and pushing past Claire Thompson, driving to the net and beating Anne Renee Desbines over her right pad to spark an emotional and teary-eyed celebration. Frankel stopped 30 shots. Kristen O'Neill scored a shorthanded goal for Canada, and Despines finished with 31 saves. O'Neill's goal, 54 seconds into the second period, ended the American shutout streak of 5 hours, 52 minutes, and 17 seconds, dating to the second period of a 5-1 opening win over Czechia. The U.S. had not trailed in the tournament. This year's final marked the 7th of 12 Olympic meetings between the two nations to be decided by one goal, and the third to go past regulation. And counting World Championship play, the U.S. evened its record to 25-25 against Canada. Although the final couldn't have been closer, the Americans were dominant in Milan, going 7-0 and outscoring their opponents by a combined 33-2. Canada overcame questions about its age and recent sluggish performances by outshooting the U.S. 8-6 in the first period, and then taking the lead with O'Neill converting Laura Stacey's pass on a 2-on-1 break. The Canadians kept pressing their attack and had several chances in overtime. A minute before Keller's goal, Sarah Fillier moved up the right wing only to have her shot stopped by Frankel with the puck landing in the crease. The Americans extended their winning streak against Canada to 8. It began with 2 wins at the World Championships in April, including the gold medal game. The U.S. then swept a 4-game exhibition series by a combined margin of 26-7. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.